Thanks for joining us once again. Today, we focus on the fact that it was just announced that there's a whole bunch of tariffs that are being newly applied to goods coming from China. In particular, we now are moving from a 25% tariff on Chinese EVs to a 100% tariff. So we wanted to explore that today with you and look forward to your input afterwards. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. This is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, would like to see more ideas on investing and trading, please join us on Patreon. Comments, likes, and subscribes are greatly appreciated. So let's get right into it. We have pretty much 4 points relative to this 100% tariff. Number one, wow. The large OEMs or original equipment manufacturers in the Midwest, like GM, like Ford, like Stellantis, were able to help bring about this 100% tariff. In general, the question is, well, their cars aren't that good. It's not that big a deal. It shouldn't be a problem. The precursor, I think, to all of this is if you look at what's happening in Europe currently. The EU has been slow to increase their tariffs from 10% to 25, 50, whatever that percentage is going to be. And the result is that the Chinese have immediately started gaining large market share in that marketplace. And they're affecting everybody's sales, including Tesla, in the European market. So therefore, it is indeed significant, this 100% tariff. So the first thing I want to point out is this is great news. Congratulations to Tesla and everybody involved on this being implemented. There's a nagging question, though, is the war with China seems to be incoming in sort of different ways. And obviously, this is an economic example of that. There are 50% semiconductor tariffs. There are other tariffs that are associated here. But for now, let's just embrace this 100% increase. The next item I want to review is it's rare for both GM as well as to be in GM, Ford, and others to be in alignment with Tesla in terms of activities they might do in their market power to control what's going on and be in harmony with Tesla. Clearly, this is a sort of GM and others instigated issue, not a Tesla one. And in fact, as we all know, Tesla has a huge facility based in China that has been doing well and is growing, and the Chinese appreciate the jobs generated by that. It's also notable that all of the OEMs from the United States also have relationships with China and have been selling there for a long time. In particular, the Buick brand under GM's umbrella is one of the most well-regarded brands in the world and has been there for decades and doing well. So I would say that, yes, speaking of OEMs, the question mark that comes up is now that GM and others have flexed their muscles in the United States, at what point will Daimler-Benz and others flex their economic muscle within their country to get forward progress here? I don't have the answer to that, but I'm very surprised that it is very clear that China has chosen to dump cars because they need the jobs that go with it. And as I watched the chairman of China go to his France visit in the past couple of weeks, I was kind of watching that discussion. Number one, the Europeans didn't go to him. He came to the Europeans. And then number two, the fact that he came to the Europeans suggests that he needed something badly enough from them that he wasn't going to wait for them to come visit him and do. So hence, this whole tariff question is going to hit a lot of other products than just cars. But as you know, each vehicle represents a large amount of dollars being moved and a lot of suppliers that are impacted by every car that's sold. So, what I think is going to happen there, um, I think China can lobby well enough that uh, the EU knows exactly what the problem is, but do they have the political muscle that's needed to actually get something done and in a timely fashion before it destroys domestic manufacturing? The next question is, well, what we primarily want to know is how is this going to affect Tesla? Well, the answer is that the rise in stock price, I believe today of 5 points, we're pre-market right now at about 9:30 in the morning, is I believe that we're going to see a nice 20% bump in the value of Tesla shares. And the reason is that um, even though we were 1 to 2 years away from starting to see large numbers of EVs from China hitting US shores, there was a process in which analysts were starting to discount the future of Tesla based on how the Chinese entry was going to hit Tesla's sales. Now, not completely, but as you know, Korea in the form of Kia and and their partner Samsung has started the process of building domestic facilities from which they can produce cars. Another thing that pops up is the LPF batteries that are being produced right now by several different manufacturers in China at low cost are now being brought into the United States in a partnership with Tesla. And clearly, there's a question mark that's going to pop up as to yes, the tariff applies to whole cars, but does it apply to Chinese components? Because we do have batteries being used by GM and others, now Tesla. And might that be a way for the Chinese to circumvent the tariffs on the cars? The answer is we'll find out. We don't know currently. But I would argue that as we get into the next few days, I think we're going to see between 10 and 20% increase in the value of Tesla's shares driven by the impact of this tariff. So I'd have to say that in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, wait a second, if we're increasing semiconductor tariffs by 50%, if we're increasing EV tariffs by 100%, what does this mean to the relationship between the United States and China? Well, the answer is I don't think anybody knows right now. The hostility shown by China in terms of activities in the waterways, threats to Taiwan, etc., could it be any worse? I don't think so. And so, by the US taking this move, especially when China is trying to find a way to create jobs to recover its economy, I think it's brilliant. And I'm impressed in the United States that both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, have backed this process. And I'm I generally am not into tariffs. I think we should compete. But right now, the Chinese are extremely desperate and are doing things that potentially sort of destroy US businesses. And not figuring it out early, I think, could result in huge amounts of unemployment in Rust Belt areas. So, as a result of this, I believe we're going to see higher prices of EVs because the Chinese naturally would have come in at some very low prices that Tesla is unable to because of their labor cost advantages. But I just think that right now, for those who are Tesla owners and others that benefit from the EV growth, let's, I'd say let's celebrate. So this is our final part of our discussion about the 100% tariff. I think it's great. I think it's going to help Tesla. I think Tesla stock price will rise as a result. I'm forecasting a 20% up over the next few months, and then we'll see how this plays out. Frankly, it could happen in the next few days, the way this stock has been fairly volatile. But I definitely think 200 a share when it's 180-ish right now is definitely on the table. One other thing I wanted to note is that, as you know, we did a show yesterday focused on what's going on with the growth and maintenance of the Supercharger network by Tesla. And I was kind of stunned at what I just read, namely that what Elon decided to do was to fire everybody involved with growing and maintaining the Supercharger network and pretty much put it under the group that's increasing the number of solar installations at homes, et cetera, which increases their workload. And so I am pleased to see that there are certain customers that have voiced their concerns, partners in the form of the utility companies, et cetera. I also have to say another piece of information that came out is that the power division with superchargers is actually profitable. So therefore, the manpower being used there actually makes sense. I suppose Elon's argument could be it's one thing to be profitable, it's another thing to be wildly profitable. But uh, I would take profitable as a reason to keep it going because it enables you, in essence, to maintain your competitive advantage without any additional cost. So we look forward to your comments on this and encourage you also to send a tweet to Tesla because we definitely need to make sure this network is grown and maintained in a way that facilitates the continued growth of Tesla over time. Anyway, once again, I want to thank you for joining us relative to this 100% tariff and its good news impact to Tesla. Next, we wanted to go back to our health tips. As one of the tips that I've always been impressed with when he said it is there's a psychiatrist from Georgetown University that I met, or retired, and what he shared was that every day he recommends a 20-minute walk. And that a walk allows you, it has health benefits relative to exercise, but it also lends itself to other benefits relative to mental health in terms of endorphins. So that's the recommendation I'd like to highlight again. The rest of our list is below if there's interest. And thank you again for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and join us on Patreon. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, le hitro, hoda hapes, drasiche, ni hama, kombawa. In Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Namaste. Arrivederci.